Hi, I am so nervous to do this, but I want to do it anyhow because that is exactly the point of this topic. So, I want to talk about unraveling shame spirals, and this is something that I deal with a lot in my life. If we haven't met before, I am Portia Jackson Preston. I am an associate professor of public health at Cal State Fullerton, which is located in Southern California in Orange County. Let's see, what else do you want to know about me? I teach stress management, promoting health in diverse populations. I am extremely nervous right now because I love speaking on stage. I love interacting with people. Video terrifies me because the people are not here in real time. So instead, what I have is my inner dialogue. And right now, it's like you're talking like a robot, it's hot. Um, it's just like screaming for me to stop. So I have to keep going. Um, the whole reason I have this podcast is because I have been doing, I would say, a lot of internal work to reconcile my real experience, which is that I am a professor, speaker, writer, and coach who is newly diagnosed with autism and ADHD. And so, what I thought all my life was awkwardness is really like a lot of things that I'm still unpacking. And I want to take my time and even easing you into the topic because I want it to kind of come about naturally. I think the first thing that I hear from people, if they're familiar with this, then they're, really wonderful and accepting, and that's wonderful. But I do have some people who think, well, how could you possibly do all the things that you're doing? If that is the case, if you're neurodivergent, you must not have it that bad. And I struggle so much inside. What actually led to me getting my diagnosis was a deep depression. And I just felt this huge internal pressure. I was doing everything, but it was so hard. And so I just feel like I've been working on the internal pressure. And I say all that to say that is really where a lot of my shame stems from. It's a lot of internalized ableism. I should be able to do things. Why would I be sitting staring at a wall unable to move? Why would I have a hard time doing household tasks? Why would I have a hard time making a phone call or an email? And there's a part of my brain that goes, just get over it. And sometimes that voice can be so loud that even though I come across to people as a courageous and confident person, um, that internal battle is really unseen. And I'm not always successful in that battle. There are days where, like, no matter how much I try to believe that I have it together, something happens. I might make a mistake, I might spill something, and all of a sudden, I just feel frozen. And so I want to come on and be honest about this because the community that I want to build here is people who would hear something like that and feel seen. People who have been waiting for someone that is in the professional world to say, this is really hard. And it's getting harder because we live in a complex world where we're conditioned to know everything, to do everything well. And there's so much going on right now that baseline anxiety feels like the norm. So it's really hard for us to contextualize what's going on with us. So I'm going to tell you a few things so that I can relax a little bit more. I have some tea here, so I'm going to be drinking that occasionally. If you are watching this versus listening, you probably see a lot of pink going on in the picture frame right now. I find rose gold comforting. So I'm trying to show you the things that put me at ease as I make this video. I don't want to have perfect lighting. I should say I don't want to do the work to figure that out just yet. So I'm in my room at a time where there is good light. I have a few lights on, but you're going to see a few shadows, and that's okay. But I'm sitting in the space that makes me comfortable. I am wearing a very cozy wrap that I love. I have some chocolate rooibos tea with oat milk to sip on. I have a clear crystal that my husband got for me in Paso Robles, and I'm just holding on to it for comfort. I have two really big plush pillows next to me, and I'm sitting on a velvet couch. And I'm sitting in front of a picture, a very nice painting that I brought years ago because I really enjoy art that looks like it's impressionist. So it's a lot of vibrant colors. So I've described most of the scene. If you can't see me, I'm a Black woman. I am wearing glasses, and I'm here to talk about something that I think most of us probably deal with, but few of us feel comfortable talking about. And I wanted to walk you through what makes me comfortable because I want you to see that this is actually a very vulnerable topic for me. I started off wanting to make this a written post, but I'm just not there yet. I feel like the perfectionism was coming for me. And there's something I know about myself. I love speaking, I love coaching. So I figured if I got on here and I just started to talk through my anxiety and take the steps that I needed to calm down, maybe I would actually be able to show you the steps and not just teach them. This isn't a how to guide where I come in and say, in my years of research, here are the 10 steps that always work. That is not my experience at all, not my story. I'm constantly having 89 different flavors of the same experience. And I have to figure out new techniques. My mind struggles with executive function, dopamine. However, I don't want to get into that too much, but let's just say that my dopamine setup is not always constant or enough. And so I might struggle with motivation even when I really want to do something. So I've been talking about doing this for days, and still it's just like, no, you can't do it because it won't be perfect. Okay. So I hope that now I'm ready. It has taken me a total of 6.5 minutes to calm down. So I'll put a timestamp in there for people who kind of want the TLDR. So, what does it mean to have a shame spiral? I call a shame spiral something where I feel badly about my abilities or myself in a situation, my chances of being successful, my chances of figuring it out, the chances that somebody will like me or reject me. And as a result, I want to protect myself by getting to the punch and saying, no, you can't do this. Or I want to make sure that I stop before I fail. And I think that's where it's coming from most of the time. The other piece is, let's say that I make a mistake. And my expectation was that I should have been able to do something perfectly. So now it's like it's all ruined. You can't do it because it wasn't perfect. So that's usually what would make me just like turn off this video and not record anymore. So I want to go through what just happened. So the first part of being in a shame spiral is thinking about what just happened. I was caught off guard. I was excited to write a post, and then I realized that I was being avoidant and I was doing everything I could to not write that post. And so then I decided that I would record it instead. And I just got a new set of fears about how that wouldn't be perfect. And so another thing that might happen, maybe there's a situation that triggers you. Maybe you experience a setback, right? So these are all different things that might happen where we find ourselves suddenly. And I don't know if you want to visualize it. You can say like you're at the bottom of the pit. Maybe it feels like quicksand, but you just can't immediately get out. You're not just going to pop back and go, yep, I'm fine. Let me keep on going. Okay. So that's how I differentiate a shame spiral because I actually feel stuck and I don't feel like I can move forward. And this is where I feel unsafe. And I think that's really important to remember. So often when we see people procrastinate, we fail to recognize that it's driven by emotion. And so when someone doesn't feel safe taking that step, they don't have clarity, they're concerned about doing it wrong. They are afraid to ask for help. These might all be reasons why they might delay doing a task, not realizing that we have to have the safety to be able to like fail and have setbacks along the way. So that's step one. Step two is to start to try to reconnect to myself and gain some sense of presence in the present moment. And I think that's important because when I'm feeling shame, I can feel very far away from everything and everyone. I feel like no one understands. And this is what, when Kristen Neff talks about mindful self compassion, um, we talk about over identifying with what you've done or how you feel about yourself. Okay. So In that moment, I find it helpful to think through what I am feeling. What is the intensity of this emotion? I would say for me today in preparing to do the video was probably a 6 or 7 out of 10. If it was an 8 or 9, I probably would not have continued to do the video. So I had to feel like I had a little wiggle room there to at least, want to proceed. And we'll talk about how I did that in a moment. But first, where am I? So now I want to use my senses to ground myself and reconnect to myself in the present moment, right? So when you think of grounding, you want to reconnect to your roots, right? Where am I right now? So take a breath. Just in doing that, I would say my own number came down to like a 5 or a 4 because I gave myself permission to take my time and not worry about who's still going to be here and who's going to listen. So now I might look around and do some sensory practices. Call it a sensory scavenger hunt. Not something I came up with, but something that I often use in my work with others. So I'm going to look for 5 things that I see in my room. And I'm not going to say them out loud, but I want to tell you in my mind, I'm looking at the object, its shape. I'm looking at the shadow falling on it, the color, anything I can describe to myself to kind of anchor myself in this moment. And this has a beautiful effect of helping to bring me back into my body. Okay. And now I'm going to think about what I can hear. So I'm going to be silent for a moment. Okay. I heard children playing. I heard a machine operating outside. I heard my stomach gurgle and I heard wind chimes. Now I want to think about what I can feel. And this is part of why I introduced to you all the sensory things I can keep around. So since these are in the picture frame, I'm going to go ahead and describe them. I feel the crystal that I'm holding. I feel the warmth of the cup that I'm holding. My shoulders, I feel the softness of the wrap that I'm wearing. And then I'm also going to touch the pillows and the couch here. And I just really love soft things. So that helps me as well. And then I'm going to think about what can I smell? This is easy. I'm going to just go ahead and smell my beverage. Just has a nice warm aroma. Um, it doesn't smell like anything in particular, maybe a hint of vanilla from the oat milk. Um, and so now I'm going to see what I can taste. It's warm and it's nice. Okay, so that exercise is part of the where am I step, bringing me back to this present moment, right? So now what I'm trying to do is establish some safety for myself because so far my body has sort of been in this fight or flight response where it believes this story that I'm going to do a terrible video, that no one's going to watch it, that this isn't helpful, no one wants to hear you do this. And I've been bench pressing that shame. And okay. So now I want to think about what can I do with this energy other than use it to make myself feel worse. I can give myself a little bit of compassion and just tell myself, I'm sorry that you feel that way. It's hard. And I know it's not always easy to do that when you're feeling shame. You don't want to be kind to yourself. But in this moment, I feel a little bit of ability to do that. When I don't feel like I can do that myself, I might ask other people who care about me. Um, Reach out to someone that I know is going to be kind. Okay. So even asking for help, that's a different positive use of that energy, encouraging yourself, asking for help. So now that we know where we are, we're figuring out what to do. What to do other than continuing to shame myself. So this is really the part 3. And so far, we talked about I can offer some words of kindness to myself, relate to myself. I might talk to someone else. I might think about others who've been through the same situation. That's called common humanity, realizing you're not alone in your experience no matter what you've done. You're not the worst person in the world, even if other people make you feel that way. Okay. You might allow yourself to feel. I'm letting myself feel these emotions. And man, I used to avoid that for so long. I was so afraid to feel my emotions because I felt like they were just overwhelming and unmanageable. And I really took a lot of time in therapy, learning different tools, going through EMDR, learning trigger release exercises. Is that what it's called? TRE. I'm not in front of my computer right now, so we'll let that go. But anywho, the point is trauma release exercise. Okay, someone look it up and let me know. But the point is, as I've learned to work with my body, they call these somatic approaches, body-based approaches, where you're connecting to your body. What I've learned is there's some things that are stored in your body. Maybe you've heard of this trauma stored in the body, how you've responded to a situation where you didn't have the capacity to deal with it, right? What was going on surpassed your resources, and you were changed as a result of that. Well, part of that's in your body. And releasing that has helped me learn how to be safe enough to feel my feelings. So, yes, we can get by and tell you things like, oh, feel to heal. But if you don't feel safe feeling your feelings, what's the point of that? First, we need to build safety. Okay. So you can see I'm in a state now. You probably realize I'm so much more calm. And now I'm realizing the irony of this video. I was so terrified to do this video for you guys, but now I realize that, and this is what I'm learning in my life. I'm learning that my mistakes are a blessing. Not in that they are good in of themselves, but there are blessings that are tied to continuing to walk down that path. So I now realize that I got to coach you through a shame spiral while I was actually going through one. And so I could use this in the future for someone and say, look, you can go through this in this video in real time. That's not to say that I have all the answers, guys. I'm not a therapist, okay? I go to therapy, okay? I'm a coach. Um, I'm not a therapist. I am a professor. I'm not a therapist. I'm a speaker. I'm a therapist. I'm not a therapist. See, ooh, I almost said that by mistake. I'm not a therapist. I want to say that several times because I've seen a lot of times out there where things kind of border on I can see people over promising what they can do for you. And what I want you to know is that if you feel uncomfortable, unsafe at any point in this process, don't do it. I want you to stop and take care of yourself. I care about you. I don't care about impressing you. I care about you healing. Okay. All right. Um, so the next thing that I try to do is look for what can I let go of? Is there an expectation, even my own expectation? And usually for me, it's the shoulds. I should have been able to do this perfectly. I should know better. I should just be able to write a post like everybody else and blah, 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 blah. And if I can let go of that, I can be free enough to get out of this spiral. Okay. Um, I can accept reality. This is a part of how I feel. This is how a part of how I do life. I deal with emotional dysregulation. Not perfect. No one is. I've had panic attacks. I've had meltdowns. I still do. They're not pretty. And I think it's because I'm willing to be honest about that that I can come on here and be helpful. I feel like if I didn't understand, there's no way I would be sitting this long in these feelings and sharing that with you. Um, Accepting reality doesn't mean that you accept all of the conditions of reality. You just are present enough to be able to get an idea of what's going on and what you can do. You're not spending all of your energy resisting, denying, etc. Um, I often will journal to process my emotions. Sometimes it's much easier for me if I can just see my thoughts on paper. And more than anything, giving myself permission to slow down. This is not a quick video, as you can see. I have no idea what the practice is on video posts, but it's probably not to record a video that's over 20 minutes for your first one. But I needed to slow down. And I think that it's really more important that I bring you something accurate than that I bring you something quick. And again, it's what's accurate for me. So now let's talk about the final chapter, after. after the spiral has ended. And that means that you're in a place where you feel safe again with yourself, safe with your feelings, okay? So don't rush this. Now you can think about what were the triggers. One of my triggers was this belief that there's a right way to do Substack and that I'm doing it wrong, I'm breaking the rules, and no one's going to watch it. Okay, fine. No one watches it. I did a cool thing for myself, but I'm also going to learn from it. And I still think it was worth doing because I actually think it's really beautiful. This is my art. My art is sitting with other people, helping them not feel alone, finding answers that support me. And so if that's the measuring stick, then I did amazing today. So I have to kind of reframe that belief, right? Um, I also want to reflect on what helped me. So, what helped me is that I've built this space that has a lot of comforting elements in it, and they really helped me to calm down. The warm liquid, I often will either have tea or I'll go heat up a neck wrap. Those things often will help me to return to my body. Um, I think I also want to say, and I want it to be maybe in a better place before I shared this with you because I think I needed to get myself to safety first. The real key in the what to do now stage, the one that just came, is curiosity. What are the different things that I can do? What is the alternative to the shame spiral, right? And so now I can look back and be curious about what actually helped, right? So we did the what happened, where am I, what do I do now? And now we're looking at the after. What can I do in the future, right? So using what worked well for me, how can I help myself in the future? I think I owe it to myself in this experimental phase on social media, returning to social media, to do things my way. And if I get some cool clips out of this, fantastic. I did a video last week and I got 1 like, so somebody liked it, but you know what? I loved it. So I need to remind myself that it's more important that I do things that I love and we'll figure it out, you know? But I want to end up in a place down the line where I'm like, yep, I was authentic. That feels good. Okay. And finally, I wrote down one more note that I wanted to share with you. Um, and that is my work. My work is to make mistakes, accept mistakes, take accountability for mistakes, and move forward. That is my work. The rest of life, it's easy. Those are the hard parts. It's not easy to navigate this time. It's not easy to navigate uncertainty. I am grateful that I did this even just for myself. I found a lot of value in sitting and taking a few brief notes and then leading myself through what I thought would help me. And I really hope that you found something that would be helpful for you. If you did, it would be the biggest honor and thank you to me if you would just acknowledge that in some way. You can send me a direct message if you don't want to post directly on the video. You can send a like, you can reply to the message, you can chat about it in the community, whatever feels safe for you. But that would kind of help me understand if this resonates with you and if there's anything that I can share moving forward that's going to help you. But I think this was a good exercise ultimately, even though I had no clue where it was going, because we can't really talk about shame free wellness until we talk about shame. So that's all now. I am so grateful to you for spending about 25 minutes with me. If you had a nice walk or sit during this time, that's fantastic. Please be tender with yourself, be careful with yourself, and be careful with each other. And I look forward to having the opportunity to chat with you again soon. Bye bye.